school's 7 Mysteries murder case, alternatively titled Smoke and Mirrors. Hello, welcome to Hari Anime. And here's the detective section where I will tell you about the extremely interesting mysteries of anime. Although not as famous as Conan, Kindaichi is also a detective with significant influence. Kindaichi's cases are often praised for their realism and horror compared to Conan. Let's prove that with today's video. Kindaichi's 7 Mysteries case in the school begins. One stormy night at Fudo High School, a student is looking for his pen. When he turns around, he sees the body of a female student hanging from a noose. The lights come on and the body disappears. Since that day, many students have witnessed the scene, and that classroom is prohibited. The event becomes one of the school's 7 mysteries. This is the story that Nanase Miyuki is discussing with her friends. The hanging noose room is mystery number 1. Number 2 is the severed arm in the printing room, and number 3 is the well of blood. Only the 7th case remains unknown. It is said that if anyone dares to unmask all the 7 mysteries, the after-school magician will kill that person. There are rumors that he is in the old school area. Nanase Miyuki is Kindaichi Hajime's childhood friend. Seeing Kindaichi skipping class to go to the rooftop, Miyuki returns the homework stack that Kindaichi asked her to do and tells him to do it himself. Suddenly, a girl interrupts. It's Sakuragi, a third-year student and the president of the crime novel club. Sakuragi believes in Kindaichi's abilities and wants him to investigate the 7 mysteries of Fudo High School. Later, when Kindaichi and Miyuki arrive at the club, there are 4 members here. This is Makoto Makabe, known as a talented high school student. Makabe arrogantly mocks Takahiro Ono, saying that he is untalented and doesn't have a poster on the wall like him. Next is Ryuta Sake, who always carries a camera. Finally, there is Tomoyo Takashima, a real clean freak. They are focused on solving Sakuragi's code. While Makabe says it's nonsense, Kindaichi has already solved it, making him quite embarrassed. Sakuragi approaches and introduces Kindaichi, IQ 180, the grandson of the famous detective Kindaichi Kosuke. And today's club topic is the 7 mysteries of Fudo High School. The after-school magician sent a threatening letter to the principal, stating that if he dared to unmask the horrifying 7th mystery in the old school area, it would appear. Seeing the intention of investigating, physics teacher Yujiro Manitoba warned everyone, as someone had gone missing after the incident. However, people didn't believe in those supernatural tricks. Before leaving, Sakuragi gave Kindaichi the minutes of the club meeting from 10 years ago, believing that Kindaichi would clarify it. In the evening, while Sakuragi was investigating, a hand suddenly appeared. It was Makabe, who was revealed to be pursuing Sakuragi. I only like intelligent boys. I am a genius novelist. If that's true, it's amazing. Makabe, frightened, left and met Kashima with documents in hand. He got angry, saying that if everyone knew everything, he wouldn't be famous anymore. Perhaps the award-winning novels were not written by Makabe himself. That night, an earthquake caused the wall panels to peel off. Looking at the wall, Sakuragi was horrified, realizing what the 7th mystery was. She called Kindaichi and asked him to come here, but someone was standing behind Sakuragi with a rope. Later, when Kindaichi and Miyuki arrived at the old school area, they passed the printing room, where the 2nd mystery about the demonic hand was. Upon entering the club room, Ano suddenly appeared, and Takashima was also there. They were not called by Sakuragi but by a male voice. He said a death ritual would take place at 10 p.m. here. The group was discovered by the school caretaker Ryuo Tachibana. In the security room, almost 10 o'clock passed, and Sakuragi was still nowhere to be found. Kindaichi and Tachibana went to search in the new building. From this corridor, they could see straight into the biology room in the old building. Suddenly, there was light. Sakuragi was hanging by the neck, and next to her was a masked person. The two ran to the room but couldn't open it. The key had been missing for a long time. Makabe, physical teacher Matoba, and Miyuki also arrived. When the door was finally broken, the inside was empty and the window was tightly locked. The next morning, the police discovered candles and Sakuragi's body hanging in the biology room. Kindaichi was shocked and devastated. For the honor of his grandfather, he decided to unravel the case. Kindaichi met Inspector Azamu Kenmochi again. According to the investigation, the victim was killed between 9 and 10 p.m. Witnesses were gathered, and they analyzed the school map. Kindaichi stood here and witnessed the death ritual. Later, he ran through the U-shaped corridor to the biology room, but the ritual had disappeared. How did the culprit clean up the crime scene within seconds? Matoba, the teacher, was scared and mentioned that there used to be a professor obsessed with rituals in the school. One night, a student discovered a room full of dismembered corpses and the professor. The professor disappeared, leaving a message written in blood. "I will dwell in this school forever." Inspector Kenmochi didn't believe it. The murderer only borrowed the name of the magician to commit the murder. Suddenly, Makabe spoke up. Seeing the famous reporter continuously taking pictures, Makabe started to speak based on his reasoning. There were scratches on the window latch, suggesting that the culprit tied a rope to it and threaded it through the ventilation hole. After cleaning up, he climbed through the window, pulled the rope, creating a sealed room. When we left, he came back and arranged the crime scene. Indeed, there were scratches on the ventilation hole. Makabe criticized Kindaichi and left amidst the praise of the journalists. After school, Kindaichi stayed behind and thought about Sakuragi. He realized that the report and the disc she gave him had disappeared. He didn't believe in Makabe's reasoning. The culprit was just misleading us. Why would he commit the crime based on the 7 mysteries and send threatening letters to the school to prevent the destruction of the old school area? Later, they met Inspector Kenmochi again, and he added that 10 years ago, a student named Aoyama Chihiro went missing after investigating this case. She was also a member of the crime novel club. That night in the club room, Ano obtained the soft disc. He wanted to be the first to know about the 7 mysteries, to be more famous than the arrogant Makabe. Here comes the ghost of Aoyama Chihiro. She told me about the 7 mysteries, which are... Then there was a coded message. As soon as it was deciphered, the murderer struck Ano's head hard with a hammer. The next morning, the police found Ano dead, his skull fractured, in the mystery room too. In Ano's hand was a key, the key to the biology room. How could it be here? Seeing Miyuki crying in fear, Kindaichi gave her his rust-stained handkerchief. According to Kindaichi, Ano was killed in another room and then dragged to the printing room to simulate Mystery 2. He opened the computer. There was a bloodstain on the keyboard. Indeed, Ano was killed in this room. Perhaps he had obtained Sakuragi's disc. Hearing a noise, Kindaichi chased after and found the school caretaker Tachibana holding Sakuragi's club meeting report. How did he get it? In the report was the writing of the missing girl Aoyama Chihiro 10 years ago. "I am Aoyama Chihiro, seeking the truth about the 6 mysteries at Fudo High School." Wait, why only 6 mysteries? After investigating, I discovered that the old school area used to be the research center of the medicine factory Takahata. And that medicine factory had... It stopped there. Behind it was a picture of Aoyama Chihiro, along with a piece of paper containing the code on Sakuragi's computer last night. Understandably, she printed the code and placed it in the report to challenge us, but the culprit overlooked the sheet of paper. Kindaichi wanted to find Inspector Kenmochi to ask about the Takahata medicine factory, but Miyuki wanted to go to the club room with him. The handkerchief Kindaichi gave her was missing. Kindaichi teased Miyuki as a childish girl and left to find the detective. Miyuki, annoyed, went on her own. While walking, Makabe grabbed her and pushed her against the wall. He wanted to know about the code and had malicious intentions toward Miyuki, but she managed to break free. At the same time, Takashima stood nearby, asking Makabe why he liked Miyuki. Makabe said her job was to stay silent and continue writing novels for him. It turns out he was only using Takashima to gain fame through his novels. Miyuki was searching for the handkerchief when it seemed like someone was following her. The image of Makabe on the poster gave her a chilling feeling. Just as she was about to tear it down, the murderer appeared behind her. After calling Inspector Kenmochi, Kindaichi looked at Chihiro's picture and found it very familiar. Meanwhile, Miyuki was being dragged to the well behind the school. Kindaichi searched for his friend, saw blood on the floor, and urgently asked Sake about the 3rd mystery. The first was the restricted activity room, the second was the printing room, and the 3rd was the well of blood. Kindaichi rushed from there and found Miyuki lying motionless. Miyuki was taken to the hospital, and her life was in critical condition. At the same time, Inspector Kenmochi arrived and provided Kindaichi with information about the Takahata medicine factory. 30 years ago, the old school area was their drug laboratory. Strangely, 6 people selected for drug testing all disappeared. Kindaichi was exhausted and wanted to withdraw. He blamed himself for putting Miyuki in danger. He tormented himself all night. Suddenly, Miyuki came to him and said goodbye. "Is she?" "No," Miyuki woke up. Thanks to her encouraging words, Kindaichi decided to expose the murderer. The afternoon sun was dazzling. Miyuki asked Kindaichi to close the curtain. Looking at the reflected light from the glass door on the building, Kindaichi found it. He returned to the club to decipher the code. Remembering Miyuki saying that she was attacked while taking down the poster, Kindaichi removed it and was shocked. Everything was clear. That night, Kindaichi gathered everyone back to the school area. Suddenly, the window of the old school area lit up, and the illusionist was performing a ritual with a corpse. Everyone ran there, and the biology room was empty again. He suddenly appeared. It was Kindaichi in disguise. The murderer is one of the people here. Kindaichi explained that the death ritual did not take place in the biology room, but in another room, the physics room. The simple trick was using a mirror from the new school area to look straight through. We would see the biology room opposite and wouldn't see the physics room. This mirror reflected the image from the physics room, making everyone think the ritual was taking place in the biology room. When we rushed there, the murderer had hidden the mirror and calmly blended into the group. The killer was Professor Matoba, the physics teacher. Makabe said, "But the murderer has the key to the biology room. Why use this trick?" Matoba tried to unlock it, but couldn't. So that night, the room was completely sealed. In the face of Matoba teacher's denial, Kindaichi revealed the entire truth. 30 years ago, this place was the research center for the medicine factory Takahata. To develop new drugs, 6 people were hired for experiments. Unfortunately, the experiments failed, and all 6 of them died. To avoid affecting their business, they buried the 6 corpses in this building, then donated it to Fudo High School. Fearing discovery by the police, the medicine factory even sent people to work at the school, spreading rumors about the 6 mysteries to keep students away from this area. That person was Matoba teacher, but why only 6? That's right, the 7th mystery was added later. 10 years ago, the student Chihiro discovered the 6 corpses and then disappeared. She was killed by Matoba teacher, who spread the rumor of the 7th mystery, making students even more fearful and avoiding this place. However, the school was preparing to demolish the building, so he sent threatening letters. The code that Sakuragi left behind means, "There is a skeleton hidden behind the wall." The poster was removed. This is the skeleton of Aoyama Chihiro. Matoba recalled that day. He had pleaded with Chihiro not to report to the police. Unfortunately, she fell down the stairs and died. Matoba confessed to everything. For 30 years, he had lived in fear. Presidents, directors, everyone involved had died. Why do you people keep digging up the past? Tachibana, the school caretaker, stabbed Matoba with scissors. It turns out Tachibana is Chihiro's father. The father had changed his name, became a school caretaker, and always searched for his daughter. The murderer died in agony. The 7 mysteries have ended. He wasn't originally a criminal, but because of his own weakness, Matoba took on the blame for both past and present crimes. Oh, let me share a little secret. When Makabe couldn't unlock the door, it was because Kindaichi had stuck gum in there to deceive the culprit. If you find this case interesting and want to hear more, please comment and subscribe actively. See you in the next detective story. Bye-bye.